Should I pay off my debt or should I invest that extra cash that I've accumulated? That's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? Let's look at that right now. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Rob Tetrault. Today we are looking at that question as to whether or not you should be investing your spare cash or whether or not you should be paying down debt. Interest rates have gone up, so the question is no longer as simple as it used to be. First off, let me preface this by saying that this answer is not the same for every single person. If you're seeing videos out there on YouTube or somewhere else where someone's saying unequivocally, you must pay down debt or unequivocally, you must invest, that should be a red flag to you because straight up, that doesn't make sense that everyone should do one thing or everyone should do another. It's just categorically wrong and impossible that everyone should do the exact same thing with their wealth. It's not taking into account your personal situation. Everyone's got a different vibe for how they feel about having debt, carrying debt. At the end of the day, that's what's going to be the most important. Are you losing sleep over this debt that you're carrying? Because as you will see through this video, mathematically speaking, you're almost always much better off investing your extra cash than paying down cheap debt. So let's start with that point right there. First off, should you pay down debt or should you invest your extra cash? First off, I would make a summary of all the debt that you currently own. If I were to debate this question, I would say, what am I paying right now on my debt? I have my mortgage, I have my loan, I have my car payment, and I have my credit card payment. Okay, take a look at those 4 payments and say, how high are they? How high is the highest payment? If you're not able to pay your credit card down every single month and it's 17 or 18 or 20%, clearly you should be paying down that debt first and immediately because the S&P 500 doesn't average 20% per year in the stock market. Therefore, you're better off paying debt than using that money to invest. If we use somewhere between 7 and 12% as a long-term expected return for the S&P, that tells us that anything that is charging you that or higher on the debt side should be paid down. You will be mathematically ahead if you're paying down debt that is charging you 20% versus investing in an index fund and hoping to make that by investing. So the key is take a look at your debt. If you have high debt, high cost debt, pay that down. Pay down your credit card debt. If you don't pay down your credit card debt, if you can't pay it every month, my dad used to say, cut the card. Cut the card if you can't pay it down. Second of all, do you have high cost loans, whether they're personal loans or car loans that are charging you anywhere 8, 9, 10%? Those you should probably pay down as well because you might make more in the market, but you might not. And that's likely impacting your credit score, the fact that you have a lot of debt and you want to create availability for future loans. So by paying down those loans, you're improving your credit score, you're improving your balance sheet. You might be netting out zero or negative with respect to investing, but at least your credit score is improving. And overall, you're probably going to feel better about paying down that larger chunk of debt. So anything in that 8, 9, 10% range, pay that down as well. Use your extra savings, pay it down, provided there's no penalty to pay that down. You don't want to start paying penalties to pay down debt because if you can structure out a payment plan where you're lining it up and not paying penalties, that's obviously a lot better. Now your mortgage, let's take a look at your mortgage. Should you be paying down your mortgage, which might be at 3 or 4%, maybe at 5, maybe at 2, regardless, somewhere in there, should you be paying down that mortgage with your additional cash or should you be investing? So this is where the answer is going to be a big fat, it depends. First off, mathematically, you will be ahead investing those funds long-term into a portfolio of diversified securities, diversified investments. You're going to be better off doing that for your net worth and your balance sheet than you're going to be by paying it down the debt. That's just a fact. Long-term, there's been no 5, 10, 15, 20-year cycles where you would have been ahead paying down that debt than investing. So if you're paying down the debt, you're not doing it because you think you're going to be ahead. You're doing it because inside of your heart of heart, you'd rather not have debt. You don't appreciate carrying the debt. You're losing sleep over that debt. You want to improve your credit score. You want to have access to more loans down the line, but you're doing it for those reasons and not because you're going to be ahead on your balance sheet, right? So your balance sheet has your assets, your liabilities, and if you're paying down the debt, you're reducing your liabilities, but you're not increasing your assets. Whereby if you were to invest that spare cash in a portfolio, you're increasing your assets, right? And your liabilities are staying the same. Either way, your net worth at the bottom of your balance sheet is assets minus liabilities. So both of those actions will improve your net worth. One of them is going to do it by reducing your liabilities, right? Paying down the debt is going to reduce your liabilities. That number doesn't compound, right? It compounds at the rate of your payments. So if it's a 3%, 4%, that's what you're saving annually. You're saving the interest rate payment on your mortgage every single year. Whereby if you invest, that number is going to compound, and mathematically you should be doing a lot better than 2 or 3 or 4% in your portfolio. And if you're not, I think you need to go to www.speaktorob.com and book a no obligation consultation to chat about that or whatever else is on your mind. We'd love to chat with you about that. So then why do some people pay down debt? So here's the answer. Maybe it's not right for you to pay down debt. Maybe it's not right for you to invest in a portfolio. I don't know. But what I do know is that with our clients, we find that out because there is a sweet spot there where clients are comfortable. They'd rather not have debt. They'd rather pay down some of the debt. And what usually ends up happening for some or most of our clients is they end up doing a portion of both. They will pay down their higher cost debt, and they might make small additional payments on their mortgage, but they're saving a chunk of their savings and putting that in their TFSA, in their RRSP, or in their investment portfolio. And that's what probably makes the most sense for you. Now, if you have a very cheap mortgage in terms of interest cost, and you never really look at your investment portfolio and you don't lose sleep over debt, then you should unequivocally be saving. You should be saving that money. If the debt worries you and you don't like carrying that debt and you talk to your spouse about it and you're starting to lose sleep about it, then you should be paying down the debt at some level. What likely makes sense for you? A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Now, I'm a big believer that you should have some sort of liquidity emergency fund, whether it's in a TFSA or whether it's in a non-registered account. You should have access to some funds that you could use short-term to fund some costs, whether you lose your job, whether you need to fund an emergency expense or something. And that could be a great way for you to save. So you save, you top up your TFSA, you put some money in there, and you use the rest of the balance to pay down some debt. That way you're meeting both obligations. You're paying down your debt, you're feeling better about yourself, but you're also saving and creating that emergency fund, especially if you don't have one. Because as we likely know, something's gonna happen at some point in all of our lives. We're likely gonna need to draw on that emergency fund, and it's a good thing to have. So remember, the math works like this. Can I generate more returns on my investment portfolio than the cost of my debt on my mortgage? If the answer is yes, mathematically speaking, you should invest and you should not pay down your debt. If the answer is no, then you should do vice versa. Credit card debt, high interest loans, pay those down. If you're uncomfortable having debt of any kind, if you don't like having a mortgage, if it's causing a rift in your marriage, if it's something that comes up regularly and you're losing sleep about it, pay the debt down. If it's something you don't consider at all, invest. And if you're somewhere in between, like most Canadians, build a plan to do both. Invest, do some saving in the TFSA, RSP, other investment vehicle, and pay down a little bit of debt as well at the same time, so you can feel better about it knowing that your mortgage is going to disappear a lot quicker. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, click the bell, make sure to be aware of the new content we're putting out. I appreciate you taking the time. I will see you in the next video.